The fire alarm goes off in the middle of my test. Hey everybody, it's Launie with EncouragedLAUNIE, and I'm back with another video. Okay, so those that have been following my channel, you know that I took a major test back in May, and I finally
got the results back.
I am licensed to be a mental health counselor in Ohio, so I'm so excited. Today's video, I just wanted to tell those that are seeking their license in counseling and my experience with taking the national counselor exam 2 times. And taking the exam can be a little intimidating because when you go inside, I had to go into a Pearson View Center, and like you can't take your cell phone, you can't take water, gum, mints, like anything but your ID and a second form ID. I think I took my debit card. And like I went in there with a pocket full of mints. Like you cannot do that. So don't bring anything into the exam but your ID and whatever that second form ID is. So when I get into the exam room, it's super quiet. Oh, before I got into the exam room, like you gotta get your picture taken, they gotta review. It's like a handprint. You put your hand on this little thing and it takes your palm. Super weird. And then you go around to the back and then somebody checks your ID again and you do the palm again. And like I think because of COVID they couldn't touch people, so I had to like touch my pockets, go all the way down my leg, go all the way down the back of my leg, and then my front and back, pull my hair back like this. It was crazy. It was intense. So once I got in there, it was super quiet. Like you can hear a pencil drop. It was super quiet. But once I got in there, I started the exam, and I was just like, I don't know these questions. Like I was like, okay, well maybe I just don't know. So I'm like 20 questions in, an hour done passed, and I'm like, I don't know the answers to none of these questions. Like, did I even study the right stuff? Anything? So I have like 50 minutes left of this exam and the fire alarm goes off. The fire alarm goes off in the middle of my test. I finally get to go back in and she's like, but whatever time you miss, we'll just add it back to your test. Was not added back to my test. So if this ever happens to you, you might want to file a grievance or whatever, because I feel like if I would have filed a grievance, maybe I would have passed the first time. But I finished the exam and I closed it out, walked back, and got my exam, and it just says taken. And I'm like, what does taken mean? And I just came out of exam. I knew I did not pass. I knew it. So I contact Pearson, or not Pearson, I contacted NBCC and asked about it, and they was like, oh well, you just have to wait until 8 more weeks. So I took the exam in November. I didn't find out the results till like January, and then that's when I found out I failed. I'm like, oh my gosh, gotta take this exam over. I gotta pay again. So I'm thinking I have to pay the $300 again, but I guess it's like 100. I think it was like 120 or something like that. So the next time around, I had to wait until the spring. So the spring of this year, that's when my exam window opened up for Ohio. And actually, I think it's for the whole United States. Second time around, I'm ready. I feel confident, and I make my little music playlist, as you've seen in my other video where I talked about my playlist a little bit. And I said a prayer before I went, And I went in there, and all of the questions, I'm like, okay, I know this, I don't know this, but I can do a process of elimination. And I was like, okay, I got this. I took one break and came back, finished the exam, and I think I finished it a little early, but I took my time this time around. I took my time, I answered all the questions, and then afterwards, I got my exam back, and it says taken again. It doesn't say pass, it says taken. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I got the exam that they're studying. They're like testing the questions. But I will say that my score was higher. So the first time I got an 84, then the second time I got a 92. So I'm like, okay, well, I've heard anything over 90 is good, right? So I'm like, I'm confident. I'm telling everybody, I think I passed. I'm pretty sure I passed. I'm good. And I finally get my exams scores back. And it's a pass. And I'm like, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm just jumping for joy in my room. Like, I passed. I'm telling my husband, like, I passed. I'm so excited. Man, it was such a relief to finally take this exam that I didn't have to take it over again. And now I'm taking my experience and telling other people, and then I'm gonna tell other people, like at my job that's taking an exam too, like, this is what I went through, this is what you should study, blah blah blah. And I'm hoping that it will help somebody out there. So if you have taken the National Counselor exam in the United States, let me know what your experience was, and like, maybe I'll go a little deeper and see what other tools that I can help, because I want to help people try to pass on the first time. Save your coins and pass the first time. But if not, it's okay. I've seen people who failed it 3 times. It's all right, long as you pass. That's the only thing. The score does matter. All you have to do is pass. Be encouraged, everyone. I'll see you next time.